According to reports, Chinese producers have emerged, and luxury will never be the same. The Hermes empire is being criticized once more, but this time it's not because of irate influencers or TikTok sleuths. Hermes bags are purportedly made by the same manufacturers.
It starts with 30 distinct cuts of leather and can take 20 hours to complete, 4 hours for just the handle. Put the finishing touches on a Kelly, the most difficult bag to build. Artisans rely on their training and muscle memory to make every bag.
Coming out of the shadows and revealing what they say is one of the most expensive and exaggerated fallacies in the history of fashion. Because these factory workers claim to be the ones sewing the bags rather than some artisan in a candlelit workshop in Paris, they claim that the thousands of dollars you're spending on a Birkin or a Kelly are not for craftsmanship, heritage, or branding. What did Hermes do when these accusations erupted? They filed a lawsuit.
This is why this bag from our factory only costs you 1,000 USD.
Have you all seen that TikTok by the Chinese guy exposing how luxury goods are actually made? The only real difference? China ships the products to Europe, slaps on a Made in France or Made in Italy label, and boom, luxury? It's ridiculous.
Fast lawsuits were brought. Like designed daggers, accusations of intellectual property theft and defamation were hurled. However, the harm had already done to many. Untouchable. Luxury's mystique has crumbled. The Made in France myth is disintegrating. And the query that everyone is now posing is straightforward.
These are pieces of artwork. These artisans train years and years to make one of these bags.
Fabrice is doing the last stitching on a Kelly bag. A Kelly takes around 13 hours to be made, depending on the materials that we make it. Our artisans, they need to do 4 years of training to be able to manufacture a Kelly bag.
Well, Hermes says, made in China, does it feel cheaper? No, that's not a quality issue. It's luxury brand washing.
Hermes, you guys, it's time to show off your factories. No, I don't want to wait to go on YouTube and watch a beautiful documentary. Show them off right here on TikTok. Let the world see. Okay, get like China. You gotta be ghetto about it. Just let people know.
Have we been defrauded all along? Whispers, shaky videos, and eventually full-fledged exposés were the beginning. Several Chinese producers have supposedly made public behind-the-scenes videos of their purportedly authentic Hermes bag production. Same hardware, same leather, identical stitching.
Got a lot of requests, do Hermes next. And that's why we're here in the Highland Park Mall.
Italy, made in China. Or maybe made in Chile. Oh yeah, that should be a thing, by the way. I have spent over $100,000 of my own money dissecting luxury bags, cutting them open, analyzing every stitch, every layer. Why? Because I had to know what made those bags so expensive.
Here's the kicker, though. They are manufactured in incredibly productive, high-tech Chinese factories, rather than in Paris or Italy, and the claim goes beyond simply that they can produce bags similar to Hermes. Hermes purses, the same ones that appear at upscale Parisian salons and rodeo drive boutiques, customers wait years on a waiting list for the bags, which cost between $20,000 and $40,000 each. It wasn't only that these bags appeared authentic that left onlookers speechless.
It requires a lot of skill to turn it and get it on the right way.
Il y a des bouchées, des bacs plus 4, 5, 6.
The fact that the factory workers were openly referring to them as authentic set off a chain reaction in the upscale area. Because if the bags are being manufactured elsewhere, why are you paying for that little French-made item that gives the appearance of traditional European craftsmanship? Customers wasn't fake. It was something much more harmful. This was exposure for the company.
De l'entrée, on me donne des morceaux de cuir jusqu'au moment où je vais avoir livré ma pièce. Je veux pas qu'on reproduise un geste de façon indéfinie en se disant bon, bah, je fais toujours ce même geste et je pense qu'on est vraiment là pour apprendre un métier et pas des tâches.
Harsh, indisputable, and degrading. Additionally, the factories chuckled at the markup rather than simply leaking information. They asserted that it cost them less than $600 to produce a Birkin that costs $30,000. Let that sink in. But the most startling aspect wasn't even that. Hermes wasted no time at all.
My point is, I think it's crazy how designer brands have been selling things for thousands when China
sell them on, and literally they're so cheap. If the Chinese manufacturers are making the same, like the actual Birkins, and then they are also selling these on the side as well, technically this is an absolute fucking bargain because it's the exact same material as a Birkin.
In their
the minute
official
the videos
statements,
gained traction,
Hermes doubled
their
down,
legal team went
claiming that every
scorched
single
earth.
one of their
Lawsuits
products
were
is
launched
handcrafted
targeting
in
several
France by
Chinese
elite artisans who
manufacturers
undergo
for what they
years of
called
training.
defamation and
They also
unauthorized
insisted that their
reproduction
supply chain is
of
closely
intellectual
guarded,
property.
that
And Hermes
no
didn't mince
unauthorized
words.
third parties
They
are
called
involved,
the allegations
and that any
false,
suggestion otherwise is an
malicious,
outright
and
lie.
damaging to the
As soon as the
integrity of the
videos
brand.
gained
In their
traction,
official statements,
their legal team
Hermes
went to
doubled
scorched
down.
earth,
They claimed
launching
every
lawsuits
single one of their
against several
products is
Chinese
handcrafted in
manufacturers
France,
for what they called
assembled by elite
defamation
artisans
and
who undergo
unauthorized
years of
reproduction
training.
of intellectual
They insisted
property.
that their supply chain is closely
However,
guarded,
insiders
that no
claim it was
unauthorized third
turmoil
parties are
behind the
involved,
scenes.
and that any
Executives
suggestion
were
otherwise is
frantically
an outright
going over
lie.
internal
But
memos
behind the scenes,
that purportedly
insiders
alerted them
say
to a
it was
crisis
chaos.
with the
Executives
brand's
were
reputation.
scrambling. Internal memos allegedly warned of a brand
According to one
reputation
insider,
emergency.
Hermes
One source
management
even
even
claimed
felt that
Hermes
even if the
executives
cases
feared that even
were
if the lawsuits
successful,
were successful,
the trust would already have been lost
already
since,
gone.
let's face it,
Because let's be
once customers see
honest.
something for
Once
themselves,
consumers see
they
something
can't
with their
unsee
own
it in a
eyes,
lawsuit.
lawsuits
And online
can't unsee
admirers
it.
weren't
And
exactly
fans
supporting.
online weren't exactly siding with Hermes.
Hermes.
Social media exploded
Side-by-side
with
comparisons of identical-looking real and fake bags went viral on social media.
Comment sections
Users
were
filled
flooded
comment.
with users asking why
Sections
they
with
should ever
questions
pay
about why they should ever
$25,000
spend
again
$25,000
if the same
again
bag can be produced
when the
for a few
identical
hundred
bag could be
bucks.
made
Even
for a
worse,
few $100s.
some Hermes resellers allegedly
To make
began
matters
pulling
worse,
listings.
some
The
Hermes
resale
vendors
market dipped,
apparently started
and collectors
removing
began
postings.
questioning the authenticity
Collectors
of bags
started
they'd bought
doubting the
years ago.
authenticity of
Bags
bags
they'd
they had
insured for
purchased
tens
years
of
prior,
thousands.
and bags
This
they had
wasn't just a
insured
legal
fortunes
fight,
of thousands
it
of
was a
dollars as
public
the
trust
resale market
meltdown. And while Hermes may be
declined.
winning in court,
This was more
they're
than simply a
bleeding in
legal battle.
perception.
It was a
Because when
breakdown
luxury
of
brand
public
has to
confidence.
scream, "We're real,"
Additionally,
it
even though
already
Hermes
lost
Mess
something
is winning
far
in
more
court,
valuable than a
their
case.
reputation
Its
is
mystery
suffering.
and the fallout
Because
from
a
that
premium brand
is
has
just
already
beginning.
lost.
Let's break down the numbers.
Something
because this
far
is where
more
the
valuable
outrage
than a
truly
case when it must
begins.
shout,
According to
"We're
the
real."
manufacturers who've allegedly
It's a
worked on
mystery,
Hermes bags
and the
themselves,
consequences are
producing
only
a
getting
Birkin
started.
or even a Kelly,
Since this is where
cost
the
them around
uproar really
$600.
Let's
that
examine
includes premium,
the
leather, skilled
numbers.
labor, and hardware.
The producers who have
$600.
supposedly
And
worked
yet
on
these
Hermes
bags are marked up to
claim that it cost them about $600 to produce a Birkin or even a Kelly,
even
which includes hardware, expert
$38,000
labor,
or more,
and premium
depending
leather.
on the model and scarcity.
$600
And Hermes
these
wants you to
bags,
believe
however,
that this price
can cost
is
up to
justified by
$15,000,
exclusivity. That it's not just about
$25,000,
materials or
$38,000
labor.
or
It's about
more,
the heritage,
depending on the type and
artisanship,
availability.
the legacy.
And Hermes wants
But
you
now,
to think that
those words are
exclusivity
starting to
justifies
sound a
this
lot
cost
like marketing fluff.
than labor
When you
or
strip away
materials
the
alone.
storytelling, the
However,
silk
those
scarf
terms are
branding,
now
and the
beginning to
Paris
sound a
showroom
lot like
glitz,
marketing jargon.
What are you left with? A
When you
product
strip
that's
away the
being priced at
storytelling,
nearly
the silk scarf
65 times
branding,
its
and the
production
Paris
cost,
showroom glitz.
That's not luxury. That's
What are you
extortion
left
with a logo. People online
A product
aren't
that costs
having it
almost
anymore.
65 times
TikTok
as much
has
to
been
produce
flooded
is
with
not considered
side-by-side
luxury.
comparisons showing factory-made
Extortion.
bags versus official
People
ones.
online aren't
and the
having it
differences are
anymore.
microscopic, if there even
TikTok
are
has
any.
been flooded
Reddit
with
threads are
side-by-side
filled with
comparisons
former
showing
luxury
factory-made
buyers
bags
admitting they
versus
feel
official
duped,
ones.
embarrassed,
And the
even
differences are
violated.
microscopic,
Because
if there
this isn't
even
just
are.
about fashion.
Any Reddit
It's
threads
about
are
being
filled
told
with
your
former
identity,
luxury
your
buyers
worth,
admitting they
your
feel
status
duped,
is wrapped up in a
embarrassed,
bag that,
even
according to
violated because
insiders,
this
is
isn't
no
just
different
about
than something
fashion.
made in a
It's about
Shenzhen
being
workshop.
told your identity,
And the luxury market
your
can
worth.
pretend this is about
Your
craftsmanship
status is wrapped
all
up in a
it
bag
wants.
that,
But the
according to
internet has
insiders,
receipts.
is no
And people
different
are
than something
pissed,
made in
but it wasn't
Shenzhen
just about the
workshop.
price tag.
And the
What
luxury
came
market
next
can
was even
pretend
worse.
this is
The
all about
second this story
craftsmanship.
hit the internet, resale
Wants,
markets started
but
tanking.
the internet has receipts,
Buyers who once
and people are
proudly
pissed.
flexed their Hermes
But it wasn't just
collections
about the price
started
tag.
asking
What came
brutal
next was even
questions.
worse.
How do I know this isn't
The
one
second
of the
this story hit the
exposed
internet,
bags?
resale markets
Why
started
did I pay
tanking.
6 figures?
Buyers
For
who
something
once
that might have
proudly
been
flexed their
mass-produced like a
Hermes
knockoff?
collections
Is any of
started
this
asking
even worth
brutal
anything
questions.
anymore? Suddenly,
How do I know this
auction
isn't
houses,
one
consignment
of the exposed
platforms,
bags?
and third-party luxury verifiers
Why did I pay
were
6 figures for
overwhelmed.
something that
Some
might have been
started issuing
mass-produced like a
internal audits.
knockoff?
Others allegedly flagged listings
Is
for
any of
further
this even
inspection.
worth anything
Even
anymore?
worse, major resellers were forced
Suddenly,
to
auction
quietly
houses,
remove certain
consignment
listings while they
platforms, and third-party
reviewed
luxury
authenticity
verifiers
standards.
were overwhelmed.
That's code for
Some
they're
started issuing
panicking
internal
behind
audits.
the scenes.
Others
Collectors
allegedly
began to
flagged
pull out.
listings for
Prices
further
dipped.
inspection.
Trust
Even
gone.
worse,
And
major
on social
resellers
media,
were forced to
it was an
quietly remove certain
absolute
listings while they
bloodbath.
reviewed authenticity
Former customers
standards.
roasted Hermes and its
That's
defenders,
code for their panicking
calling them
behind-the-scenes collectors
brainwashed,
began to
elitist
pull out
cheap,
prices
and
dipped,
willing participants
trust
in a
gone.
luxury
And on
Ponzi
social
scheme.
media,
One
it was an
viral
absolute
comment summed it
bloodbath.
up perfectly. I didn't buy a bag.
Former
I bought a
customers
delusion,
roasted Hermes
and now
and
I
its
want my money
defenders,
back.
calling them
This wasn't just a
brainwashed
PR
elitist
nightmare. It was a
and willing
credibility
participants
meltdown.
in a luxury
the
Ponzi
entire
scheme.
foundation of the Hermes
One
image,
viral.
its aura
The comment
of elite,
summed it up perfectly.
handmade,
I
generational
didn't
quality,
buy a
shattered
bag.
overnight. And here's the kicker.
I bought a delusion,
Hermes
and
isn't
now
alone.
I want
Not
my
even
money
close.
back.
Because the second Hermes
This wasn't
got
just a
exposed,
PR nightmare.
everyone started
It was a
sighing.
credibility
the rest
meltdown.
Of the luxury world.
The entire
Once
foundation
the
of the
against
Hermes
Hermes
image,
exploded,
its
it
aura
was like
of elite
dominoes
handmade
falling across the
generational
fashion
quality
world.
shattered overnight.
Whispers started
And here's the
swirling
kicker.
around. Prada.
Hermes isn't
Posts
alone.
emerged, alleging
Not
that
even
parts
close
of their
because the
handbags were
second
being
Hermes got
stitched in the
exposed,
exact same
everyone
Chinese
started saying the
factories,
rest
then
of the
shipped to
luxury
Europe
world.
just to have the final
Once the
tag sewn
allegations
in.
against
That
Hermes
way,
exploded,
it could still legally say
was like
made
dominoes
in Italy.
falling across the
Louis
fashion
Vuitton
world.
wasn't spared either.
Whispers started
Several
swirling around
exposés
Prada.
resurfaced,
Posts
claiming
emerged
that some of their
alleging
most iconic
that parts of their
monogram pieces
handbags
are
were being
assembled
stitched in
countries
the
like
exact
Spain and
same
the US,
Chinese
but
factories,
carry
then shipped to
inflated
Europe
European
just
price
to
tags
have the
simply
final
because of the name
tag sewn
Chanel. Their
That way,
silence
it
was
could still
deafening.
legally say made in
And
Italy.
that's
Louis
not a good
Vuitton
sign.
wasn't spared either.
Consumers started connecting the
Several
dots.
exposés
If
resurfaced,
Hermes, a brand
claiming that
prides
some of their
itself on
most
absolute
iconic monograms
exclusivity,
pieces are
can be
assembled in
allegedly
countries
linked
like
to
Spain and
outsourced,
the US, but
unacknowledged
carry
production.
inflated.
Who else is
European
cutting
price
corners behind
tags
the
simply
curtain?
because of the
And
name
here's where it gets
Chanel.
even more
Their
chaotic.
silence was
Some
deafening.
factory insiders
And that's
are
not a
now
good sign.
saying they've worked across multiple
Consumers
luxury
started
brands.
connecting the dots.
Same
If Hermes is a
materials,
brand
same
that prides
construction
itself
lines,
on
different
absolute
logos.
exclusivity,
Let that
can be
sink in.
allegedly
What
linked
the
to
public is
outsourced,
starting to
unacknowledged
realize
production.
is devastating
Who
to
else is
luxury
cutting
labels.
corners?
These brands aren't selling better
Behind the
quality.
curtain.
They're selling
And
better
here's where it
stories.
gets
And that narrative,
even
that
more
fantasy
chaotic.
of true luxury,
Some factory
is
insiders are
collapsing
now
in real
saying
time.
they've worked across
The internet
multiple luxury
doesn't
brands,
forget. And
same
now,
materials,
every
same
high-end
construction
brand is
lines,
under
different
a microscope.
logos.
The
Let that
fallout,
sink in.
just getting started. The
What the
idea
public is
that
starting
products
to
made in
realize,
China are of
devastating to
inferior
luxury
quality,
labels.
is being challenged.
These
Modern
brands
Chinese
aren't selling
factories
better
produce
quality.
high-quality
They're
goods,
selling better
often
stories.
matching or
And that
exceeding
narrative, that
European
fantasy
standards.
of true
This
luxury
shift
is
in
collapsing in
perception
real
is
time.
reshaping
The internet
consumer
doesn't
attitudes.
forget.
Hermes revenue
And now every
and brand
high-end
image are
brand is under a
threat.
microscope.
The lawsuits and
The
ensuing
fallout
controversy
just getting
could have
started.
significant
The
financial
idea that products
implications,
made in China
not just
are of
for
inferior
Hermes,
quality
but for
is
the
being
luxury
challenged.
industry as a whole.
Modern
The luxury
Chinese
industry's
factories
veil
do
of
high-quality
exclusivity
goods,
and
often matching
craftsmanship
or
is being
exceeding
lifted.
European
As consumers
standards.
become more
This shift in
informed,
perception
brands
is
must
reshaping
adapt to
consumer
maintain
attitudes.
trust and authenticity.
Hermes revenue
The
and
question
brand
remains,
image are
in
under
a world
threat.
where transparency
The
is
lawsuits and
paramount,
ensuing
can luxury
controversy could
brand
have significant
transparency is
financial
paramount?
implications.
Can luxury brands
Not just for
uphold their
Hermes,
esteemed
but for the luxury
reputations? Not
industry
just for
as a
Hermes,
whole.
but for
The
the
luxury industry's
industry as a
veil of
whole.
exclusivity
The luxury
and
industry's
craftsmanship
veil of exclusivity
being
and
lifted.
craftsmanship is
As
being
consumers
lifted.
become more
As
informed
consumers
about
become
brands,
more informed,
must adapt to
brands
maintain
must
trust
adapt to
and
maintain
authenticity.
trust and authenticity.
The question remains
The
in a
question
world where
remains,
transparency
in a world
is
where
paramount.
transparency is
Can
paramount,
luxury brands
can
uphold
luxury
their
brands
esteemed
uphold their
reputations?
esteemed reputations?